Ashamed to ask, ashamed to admit, got Jewy questions. This is it. Why is wicked simple or unsure how to ask? We'll open up the books, the ark. We'll open up your cynical heart. No such a thing as a dumb question, okay, that's mostly true. Tammy and Shoshana are here for you. Ashamed to admit, ashamed to ask.
It's everything you didn't get in Jewish studies class.
Hello.
Hey.
And welcome back to Ashamed to Admit. I'm Tammy Sussman.
I am Shoshana Gottlieb Becker.
Rambam, Maimonides, Rashi, Lilith. Do these names sound familiar to you? If they do, it's probably because you weren't building a shrine for the boy in the back row in Jewish studies class who you'd eventually lose your virginity to. Or maybe...
That is not my experience.
Or maybe you didn't go to Jewish school at all and you've got an idea about who I'm...
Happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, it's fine. We're going to cover some of those people today because they're very important. I'm not going to say Jewish people. Technically, Lilith, if she were a person, predates Judaism as a concept. But there are people who are central to Jewish culture, thought, identity, world, etc., etc., etc.
All right.
Do you have questions? Should we just jump right in? You choose who we start with.
All right. I think we should start with. I'll show you the list.
Okay.
Of people who, because these names have been requested by our followers on Instagram. So we asked them, who do you, if we said hypothetically, if there was a podcast, which was basically everything you didn't get in Jewish studies class, what ideas, concepts, or people would you want us to explain?
Yep.
And some people wrote, this is the list. This isn't the extensive list. This is a snapshot of the list because this is all we've got time for today. So this will definitely be...
And we don't even have time for these.
It's true.
Yeah.
So there's Rambam, there's Maimonides, there's Lilith. Quote, someone wrote, "Who this diva?" I love it. There's Yehudit and Rashi.
Okay, so already fantastic news. Rambam and Maimonides, same person.
Really?
Yeah.
Such different names.
So Maimonides is like the Latinized English, it means son of Maimon.
Oh.
Because Maimon is his dad.
Okay.
Rambam, like many, and Rashi as well, Rambam and Rashi are both acronyms for their actual name. So Rambam means Rabbi Moshe ben Maimon, Moses, the son of Maimon.
Amazing.
And then you shorten it to Rambam. So Rambam, Maimon, it's a Hebrew name and an English name.
Okay.
You know, like when you name your son Ethan, but then in Hebrew he's like
Eitan.
Shlomo. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Ethan is Eitan.
It is, but then people do this thing where like they'll give their kid an English biblical name and then the Hebrew name is like Simcha Moshe David.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And then his English name is Nathan.
Okay. I do know what you mean. Before you tell me about Rambam, formerly known as Maimonides, when you hear the name Rambam, do you also go Rambam bam bam?
No. I think Rambam, thank you, Mum.
So sorry to the Rambam fanatics out there.
Hey, I'm one of those.
Okay.
So not really. I think his life is fascinating.
Go on.
So I'm a fan of his life rather than like his work. His work's pretty important too.
Okay.
So you want to know about him?
Yeah.
Where should I start?
From the beginning.
Okay, so he's born in Spain in like the 1130s-ish.
He's Sephardi.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. And he grows up, his dad is like important in the community. He's on the Beit Din, right? He's like a Jewish judge. They leave and he grows up like really smart. All of these rabbis always have stories of like he learned all of Talmud by the age of 6. But I don't know, like he was always really smart. He was always in school. But the thing with Rambam that's really interesting is that he was exposed to a huge range of like philosophy and scientific thought outside of the Jewish realm. And you see that come up like later in his work. And it also makes sense in Spain, like it's the end of the golden age, but there's like, it's a huge time of like intellectual growth within the Jewish people and like cultural growth. So he is learning like Greek philosophy and, you know, science and maths and all of these things alongside his Jewish studies. And that'll be important later, promise. His family flees Spain because there's a change in caliphate. And so the new caliphate that comes, a caliphate is just like a Muslim, a caliph is a Muslim ruler.
Okay.
Spain at the time is predominantly Muslim.
Oh.
There's a change in leadership who are less kind to Jews and they revoke the dhimmi status, meaning that you can't live as a protected minority anymore. And so you either have to convert or you have to leave.
Okay.
So they leave. And they go to a couple of different places, but they eventually settle in Egypt. I'm going to look up, I'm so bad with years.
Okay.
So I always write them down so that I can be accurate.
Yeah.
They arrive in Egypt by 1168.
Okay. It was a good year.
Great year.
Yeah.
Apparently. Wasn't there. Couldn't. I'm very young. What's interesting, like now that he's in Egypt, he makes trips to like the land of Israel during the times of the Crusaders. He visits the Temple Mount, like he gets the lay of the land, but he settles in Egypt. And he rises to prominence in his community because he's very smart. We have a lot of writing from the Rambam. He's very well written. And he helps negotiate on behalf of Jewish people taken hostage by the Crusaders. And so he becomes really well known in his community because of this. He also at this time is writing lots of commentary. So he's like a really well-known Jewish scholar in general. And he's building up his professional, you know, reputation.
Yeah.
What's really interesting about Rambam, I think, is that Jewish people like don't change, right? He is a rabbi. That's his job.
Yep.
They don't make a lot of money.
Right.
Still back then, they didn't make a lot of money.
Right.
So his brother, David,
Yeah.
David,
Yeah.
he supports Rambam.
Right.
And like the whole family, right? So like he has a family of his own, Rambam's family, his dad, he's a businessman. And so he goes to work as a nice Jewish businessman while his brother is a rabbi and learns and writes Torah.
Okay.
And then it's really sad, but like he takes the family's fortune, he wants to do trade overseas and he gets on a boat and the boat sinks. And it's really sad, but also like it's really beautiful. Again, so we have a lot that's been written by the Rambam because of something called the Cairo Geniza,
Yes.
which we're going to do an episode on because it's my favorite thing in the Jewish world.
Yes.
I did a limud session on it, which is why you're talking
I
like
was
that.
there.
Yeah.
Filming
I love
you
the Cairo
secretly.
Geniza. But basically we have this like trove of writing. And one of the things we have from that is this beautiful letter that he wrote about the demise of his brother and about how heartbroken that he's always been by that. And it's not just his brother, it's his friend. It's like, you know, his confidant, almost like a child to him. Like grew up on his lap, he writes. But his brother not only died, but like lost the family fortune.
Oh my God.
And so he has to get another job, right? He can't just be a rabbi anymore. He needs to earn money. He needs to step up, take care of the family like David always did. So what do? You're a prominent rabbi. You need a job. What do you do?
Well, he was a genius, so he could do anything, right?
Yeah.
I think he makes memes. He becomes a satirist. He becomes a stand-up comedian.
Incorrect.
Okay.
Yeah.
What does he do?
You're clearly a very like one half of like Jewish culture.
Okay.
Like Jews are funny, like do that.
Yes.
He goes the other path of Jewish culture. He becomes a doctor.
Of course, a doctor.
Course. Yeah. And so he's a doctor and also a rabbi. And because he's a genius and because like he sets high standards for himself, he's the best of both of those things. So he quickly becomes like his name's Saladin. He's like the Sultan at the time. He becomes like the king's physician.
Wow.
And also he's a community rabbi. And also he's like in charge of the Egyptian community of Jews.
Is he married?
Yeah, he's already married at this point. He has I don't know how many kids he has. He has at least one son.
How many wives does he have?
No idea. Could not tell you.
Okay. But that's a valid question, right? Because in those days you could have more than one?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so he's like a top doctor. He's a top rabbi. And there's lots of really interesting stories. Again, like these sort of legend building stories about him. But like he would spend all day at the palace treating, the Sultan and his family and all of that. And then he would come home and he would treat people like pro bono. And he'd have all of these people in his home who needed help, and he would spend his whole evening helping them as well. And then somewhere on the side, he was also like writing Torah, and like writing like some of the most important, influential Jewish works that we still have and rely on today.
Such as?
So I would say like his main three, and again, my opinion, but I think his main three works are something called The Guide for the Perplexed, Moreh Nevuchim, which is like a philosophical, like intellectual work. So it's about Jewish philosophy, and it tries to reconcile like Aristotelianism of like logic and rational thought and thinking with Jewish thought and thinking, and like how do miracles happen in the Torah. And like he's kind of one of the first major figures who talks about or who recognizes certain biblical stories as being metaphor.
Right.
And who recognizes, like, when we talk about God in human terms, that is metaphor. Because, again, he's a rational thinker. And that's when you see he's been studying, like, Greek philosophy, ancient Greek philosophy since he was a young child. It's clearly influenced how he sees and views the world. And so he tries to marry those things. It was incredibly controversial. It was banned by different rabbis. It was burnt by a bunch of French rabbis because of how, like, heretical they saw it as.
Wow.
So that's I think one of his most important works. Arguably the number one most important work is something called the Mishnah Torah, which takes the Talmud and takes all of like response written about the Talmud after the Talmud is like sort of codified and sealed off, and he organizes it and takes the main message away. So as we know, the Talmud is like a really big, long story. It's all these conversations. It's not just law, but there's also, stories in there, moral, other, whatever. And he takes all of that and he pulls out the main, like if it's got all of these opinions, he takes the one that we follow and he puts it in.
Wow.
And he also bases it on what other rabbis have said since the Talmud. He also, he orders it. So even though we have a section on Shabbat in the Talmud, they might also mention a law about Shabbat over here in relation to something else because it just comes up. Right, because
so he's a spreadsheet guy is what
and he organizes it and he makes it so, and this is what I think is really interesting, he wants Judaism to be easy to follow for the everyday person. And so he makes something like the Talmud accessible for people who don't have time to go searching for it. And he sort of standardizes for his community and for all of the communities connected to him, because again, he's a really great rabbi. He standardizes practice for that time period, saying like, there's all of these opinions in the Talmud. Here, here's what we follow. And he makes it really easy. And that's not the first, it's not the only work that does that. There are other ones that come along later as well. But he's like the first who does it. It's like a codex of Jewish law.
What a guy.
Huge guy, yeah.
Okay. Sounds like you've got a lot of respect for him.
I love him. I think he's so interesting. He is, I don't know, it's just...
I want to roast him, but I feel bad.
You can't. He's too good.
As someone who has been married to a man, though, I have a feeling that maybe he was so busy at work, doing stuff pro bono, which is all good and well. But when there's kids and she needs a break and she wants to go to the Egyptian version of Pilates, she just, She
just wants him home.
Yeah.
Again, look, very fair. Could not tell you about his personal life.
Okay.
So he's a super interesting guy. Love him.
Great. I'd love to spend more time on him, but we've got to move on.
Oh, no. Okay.
Right,
who do you want to move on to?
Okay. I think it was Lilith. Who this diva?
Okay. Lilith is super interesting because Lilith is an example of a character who does not appear in the Torah.
Okay.
People think she does. She is an example of midrash, which is rabbinic storytelling, that has become almost canon in sort of Jewish thought, and what's really in more secular Jewish thought, right? She's become really relevant to contemporary feminist Judaism as an example of a woman who pushes back and who doesn't just fall into line. But she doesn't actually appear in the Torah itself.
So how do we know about her?
Fantastic question. So I'm going to tell you who she is first.
Okay.
Allegedly, allegedly, she is Adam's first wife. So of Adam and Eve fame.
Yeah.
She's his first wife. She is built, and again, there's different versions of story, okay? The word Lilith is mentioned in other parts of the Tanakh, and Jewish thought describes this thing as like a demon, a female demon. That's Rashi, who I don't think we'll have time to get to Rashi based on what time we have.
No.
He's also a commentator. He says she's a female demon. Other commentators say it's like some kind of night animal. Lilith, Lila, night, like. And so like Rashi's like she's a nighttime demon.
Okay.
Someone else named Ibn Ezra says she's an owl.
Okay.
Like she's a barn owl. Because she's listed in another like list of other animals. And that kind of is taken in the Talmud, mention of her as a demon. And then we have this text from like medieval Judaism, I'm pretty sure, called the Alphabet of Ben Sira. And this is kind of where she explodes in legend beyond just like mentions of this demon named Lilith. And the Alphabet of Ben Sira gives like this huge story about who she is, which is that she was created by God alongside Adam, using the same method. God forms Lilith from the ground, the same way that God formed Adam out of like dirt and dust, whatever. And then when she comes to life, Adam tries to get her to do something, and she's like, whoa, we are equal because we were created in the same way. Like, what are you talking about? You can't make me do things. So they butt heads immediately. She like flies away, right? Again, this is what Ben Sira says. She like flies away. And then God sends angels after her to bring her back. And she's like, no, instead I'm going to kill infants. And they're like, okay. And then she's like, but I won't kill infants if you like protect them with this weird amulet thing. And we're like, oh, okay. It's really weird. But basically she's an infant killing demon.
That the feminists have reclaimed?
Have reclaimed in the sense of like, Adam's first wife who pushed back and said no to the patriarchy. Okay. But it's also why Eve, according to this version of the story, it's why Eve was created from Adam's rib, because then she is lesser than him and made of him rather than being on equal footing.
Okay.
And so feminists kind of take the iconography of her being equal.
Okay.
It's a weird story. Again, what I think has happened, and this happens a lot with Jewish history, my opinion, I'm not saying this is factual, there's mention of this demon named Lilith in the Talmud in a couple of places. Whether it's child-eating demon, I'm not really sure. I can't remember. We've got lots of examples of like just post-ancient, like early medieval, like amulet bowls that feature Lilith as a demon and are like inscribed with protections of children, right? And we coupled those things together, and then we like bore out of it. Also, again, separately, there's stories of Adam having a first wife that don't go into all the details. And somewhere along the way, this who wrote the Ben Sira, like has coupled those things together to create one cohesive character.
Okay.
Because again, that happens a lot of like, we have lots of these different ideas. We've existed for a really long time. We like things to fit neatly as like a cohesive story.
Okay.
So that's Lilith in a large nutshell.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
this diva, that's that
Lilith. But no one's written about why they broke up, or was it just obvious?
Adam and
Lilith. Was
yeah, because she wouldn't.
A demon.
Because she was. I mean, if I were Adam, I'd say it's because she's a bitch, right? Because she wouldn't listen to him because that's what he wanted out of a wife.
But then Lilith would have her side of the story, and somewhere in the middle is the truth.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So who this diva? That's that diva.
Yep.
Moving along to Yehudit.
Yes. Also not from the Tanakh.
Okay.
This one, because again, I'm very pedantic about my research beforehand, because and this is my thing, right? I know quite a bit about Judaism, but I always doubt what I know and my knowledge. And so I'm always like, is that right? Little Google, little like Chabad.org, Wikipedia action, making sure I know what I know.
I respect that.
Yeah, because Judith in my head, and for a lot of people, because this is true, is associated with Hanukkah.
Yeah.
So your immediate thought would be, Hanukkah takes place during the time of the Hanukkah story. I start reading the book of Judith because, again, I'm very thorough with my research. mentions Nebuchadnezzar, which is the Assyrian king,
Yes.
the Babylonians who came before the Greeks. And so already it's really interesting because the Book of Judith by a lot of academics is seen as maybe the first historical novel. Didn't actually happen, but was written because it's full of these anachronisms, this ahistorical fact.
What's an anachronism, sorry?
Anachronism is something that happens within a story, but that doesn't take place. Like if I'm writing a story in the 50s, set in the 50s, and then a character pulls out a mobile phone, right? It's like things don't line up with where it's set in that time period. But either way, whether it happened or not, historical fact, etc., etc.
Before we go on, I'm ashamed to admit I'd never heard of Yehudit, also known as Judith, until around a year ago when you moderated a panel, which was like from Yentl to Yehudit.
Yeah.
And I said, who this diva? And you did say at that time, it's like the Hanukkah story.
Yeah, because again, associated with Hanukkah now.
Yes.
And it's for lots of different reasons, right? I think in medieval times, someone rewrote the Book of Judith to be about Hanukkah, but the original versions are about this Assyrian time period instead. Okay. Also because some academics place it as being written in that period, but they're not writing with the real names of the people at that time, lest they get in trouble. So they're using older names from a different time period. There's lots of different theories about it.
Yeah.
But the story, I'll just go through the story because I said a lot about her, but I've not said who she is, right?
Yeah, sure.
So Judith, or the Book of Judith, which again is not in the Tanakh, it's like these extra books that didn't get included. It is set during an Assyrian siege of Israel. There is a general named Holofernes, and he is in charge of the siege. He sets up camp near her town. The local Jewish or Israelite leaders are not willing to fight the way that Judith wants them to fight. She thinks they don't believe in God the way she... Oh, okay. So she's described as super pious, so like a deep belief in God, a widow, and also really hot. No,
Do you have any direct quotes?
No, it talks about how graceful and beautiful and rich and gorgeous she is.
Wow.
And she is a widow, which means that for a long time she's been dressed in black and ripped clothing and sort of been playing it down. But then she takes matters into her own hands to defeat Holofernes.
Yeah.
So the first thing she does is makeover, and she sheds her Black Widow's clothing and she puts on makeup and perfume. Exactly. It's one of those rom-com scenes of
makeover scene.
Exactly. And she makes herself up and she leaves her town and she goes to this sort of Assyrian fortress and she befriends Holofernes, and he is besotted with her. He really likes her, and there's this back and forth where she's friends with them, and she makes it she establishes a routine of being able to leave the town and come and go as she pleases because she's friends with him. And then eventually she invites him to this meal. And this might sound familiar in terms of inviting someone to a meal.
Okay. She's the meal is what you're saying.
Well, I compare it to Purim, right?
Yeah.
With Esther and
Ahasuerus.
and Haman.
Right.
Right. She invites them both to this meal to sort of use her womanly wiles to get her way. Judith invites Holofernes to this meal. She eats her own food because his food's not kosher. She feeds him cheese. He gets thirsty. She gives him some of her wine that she brought.
Very specific that she's feeding him cheese.
Well, it talks about cheese, yeah.
Okay.
So he's eating cheese. Cheese makes you thirsty. She plows him with wine. He gets drunk. All of his servants leave because the party's been going on for ages. And when he is asleep, she takes his own sword and cuts his head off.
Are you talking about Judith and Holofernes?
Yeah, Holofernes.
Say it again.
Holofernes.
I call it Holofernes.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You think he's Greek when you say Holofernes.
Yes.
But he's not. He's Assyrian.
Right.
I say I could be mispronouncing it.
Is this the painting?
Yeah. There's lots of paintings. There's lots of when we were in Europe last year, we were walking through a museum, and there's a sculpture, and a woman's chopping off someone's head, and Sky's I think that's Judith, because it's a very famous image, and it's been done
iconic,
and it's been done in art dozens of times over.
Okay.
Yeah. So she cuts his head off. She puts his head in a basket, and she has her maid with her also this whole time.
Yeah.
By the way,
she's the old woman depicted in the painting. I like her. Identify with her.
And so the maid carries the basket. They've got the head, and like no one questions it because they've established they're allowed to come and go as they want. She goes back to the Jewish like town and to the leaders, and she's like, "Guess what I got? Ta-da!" And like shows the head of Holofernes, or Holofernes if you want to call him.
Holofernes.
Shows the head, and they are like so, I don't know, inspired by her strength and leadership that they then like decide to launch an attack the next day. And on the flip side, the Assyrians go to check on their boss, find him headless, and like they freak out because they don't have the leadership. And so then the Jews of that area are able to defeat the Assyrians, and that's the story.
Okay.
Yeah. Ta-da.
Can I tell you why I'm laughing to myself?
Yes.
How did you describe her in 3 things you described? Widowed.
Pious.
Yeah.
Hot.
I'm imagining that as her Hinge profile.
Yeah.
And then her main profile picture is holding up this guy's head.
Like this little selfie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like her.
Yeah, she's cool.
Yeah.
And like lots of reasons why she could be connected to Hanukkah, which is why I would have mentioned it at the time.
Yeah.
Number one, she is very clearly like a literary female version of Judah Maccabee. Her name is even Judith. Judah, right? Like sort of saving the people in that way. And also because of that, and again in medieval times, these other customs were like spring up. We know that you're supposed to eat oily foods on Hanukkah, but some people have the custom of eating like cheesy dairy foods because of the cheese that she fed him. And then also some people have the custom that women specifically shouldn't work during, like while the candles are lit. They should refrain from certain types of work, like it was Shabbat, because a woman is so central to this story and is associated with Hanukkah.
Right.
Even though historically interesting.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. I'm ashamed to admit that we've gone over time.
Classic.
And what we'll do is we'll keep Rashi for our next episode that we have.
I love Rashi too. So I don't have as much to say as I do about Rambam, but like I've got plenty.
We'll come back to Rashi.
Yeah.
It's time for our segment. We've had some feedback from our listeners and our viewers. They've given us some alternate options.
I'm just going to take a little sip, 1 second.
Do it. For this segment, which I had originally called Shame or No Shame.
Yeah.
Some people have offered up Shame Man. I think that's a nod to the South African Jewish community.
You said someone said Ach Shame?
Ach Shame.
I think that one's a good one.
That one's good, but I don't know if maybe if we've got viewers in Odessa, they don't have South African immigrants there, and then they may not get that.
True. I think we should have like a rotate, like we never settle on a name.
All right. I like that idea.
Rotate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. I love that offer. I'm going to accept it.
Hooray.
Someone else offered Shame in the Shtetl.
That is also a good one.
So for today, let's call it Ach Shame.
Perfect. Today in Ach Shame.
Today in Ach Shame, this post
made me crazy. I saw this live. I thought I had lost my mind.
It's from a Facebook group in New South Wales, a Jewish Facebook group. I'm not going to name the group.
We don't name the group.
We don't want to get kicked out of the group.
Please don't kick us out of Jewish Facebook groups.
Okay. This is a visual gag. So for our viewers, we will overlay a picture of this post. But for all the people listening while they're washing their cheese off their dishes, you know, when the cheese melts and you need to scrape it off.
You have such a specific mental, like I was going to say mental image of who is listening to this podcast.
I do.
People walking their cats and like 50s housewives with cheese plates. Like
I was actually imagining a man scraping.
Oh, that's
cheese.
me. Sorry.
Yeah. So
sexist again.
For them, I'm going to describe the image.
Mm-hmm.
It's a photo of a footpath, and on the footpath, it looks like a bit of cotton string or a twig in the shape of a teardrop.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
It's also like zoomed in enough that you can see like, you can see gravel.
Yeah.
Right? Like the cement
yes.
of the footpath, but also like there's like a welcome mat.
There is.
I'm just trying to paint with a twig on the welcome mat.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay? And the caption accompanying this says, outside church and saw this. Anonymous member 977 writes back,
Is it a worm?
3 question marks. The original poster says, yes. Anonymous member 977 writes again.
Is it a worm?
Oh, no, is it a worm? No, hang on. That's just me copy and pasting that twice.
No, but like several people were like, what is the significance of seeing a worm here?
Okay, a few people said, what is it? Sorry, what am I looking at?
And they would always reply, a worm.
A worm. A worm. Okay. But then the original poster had to clarify it's a worm in the shape of...
I can't say it. You have to say it.
I can't say it either.
Of a memorial pin, like a ribbon pin.
Yeah.
Which has been used in very recent memory as a hostage pin to remember the hostages, which is a very serious thing.
Yes.
I just think that this is insane. I just think of like this is like the perfect storm, an example of like how much people on Facebook have kind of lost their mind. Mm. And like she saw a worm on a footpath and it was like the hostages. And no one in the comments knew what she was talking about.
Yeah. If she'd opened with that, I saw this worm on the footpath outside a church and it reminded me of our hostages, different story. So we're not laughing about that. Let's just be clear.
Yeah. I would also just say, she posted it so it's an upside down like she should have at least rotated the photo so you can see what it is a bit better.
I think it's the ambiguity.
It's everything.
That makes this.
It's also, is it a worm? And then the response being yes with no further like explanation besides this is a worm.
Yes.
Not this is a worm that has reminded me of like our people's plight. Just this is a worm.
Correct.
My WhatsApp groups had a field day with this. This is a recurring joke in my groups of is it a worm?
So someone will just post something vague and someone needs to write back.
Like, is it a worm is the...
I think it needs to enter the lexicon of the Jewish community. Jewish communities around the world.
Worm hostage pin is just like otherworldly to me.
Okay. So the next time someone in your WhatsApp group posts a picture with no explanation and it's really vague.
You just say, is it a worm?
It is obligatory to reply, is it a worm?
Is it a worm? Sublime. Fantastic work, everyone.
It's time for our outro. We may get cancelled for that. I really hope we don't.
4 episodes in and cancelled is honestly a better run than I thought we'd have in terms of being cancelled. I'm not going to lie to you. That is it for our show today. Please don't cancel us.
You've been watching or listening to Ashamed to Admit with me, Tammy Sussman, and my wonderful co-host, Shoshana Gottlieb-Becker.
This episode was brought to you by the Jewish Independent.
Don't do it.
The Jindependent.
She did it.
With Alleyway Productions. The vocalist in our theme song is Sara Yael, and there are more credits in our show notes.
She says it's Sara Yael.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's fine.
Genuinely, Sara Yael.
If you enjoyed this episode, tell your friends, forward it to everyone you know with the caption, "This is a worm."
Hashtag, is it a worm?
Thank you so much.
That's my line.
Sorry.
See you next week.